Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 107 of FPL BlackBox. Before I give you your introduction, Mark, can you just say something?
Yeah, well, there you go. It's all fine this time, isn't it? All fine this time. We called the show Rip It Up and Start Again. That's exactly what we had to do.
I mean, honestly, we went from 70 viewers to 222. So, everyone's saying perfect.
Hey!
We're back. Not only are we back, Mark, you're back in the hot seat. Good to have you back.
How you doing, Az? How you doing?
I am excellent, and we will touch on why a bit later on, won't we?
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm good. I'm in a better place. I've been working too hard, but back doing BlackBox now. And looking forward to next season. Which I guess next season officially starts today, right? With the fixtures, is that the case? Are you getting in it?
The new FPL season doesn't start until our colours change on BlackBox. That's how I look at it.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
We haven't to come in and do his palette.
No, I know. Any thoughts out there on the colour scheme yet? I'm going to see if the chat's working on. Yes, it is. There we go. We've got chat.
We've had yellow, we've had blue, and we've had like a mint green. So
yeah.
Let us know what you're thinking. A purple or orange or something, maybe, or pink.
A pink will be good, I think. Pink's my favourite. I think pink's my favourite. Yeah, we have got the chat. We can bring up on screen. We can also do featured chats like that. There we go. MZB 1993, Claret and Blue is his suggestion.
This
West Ham fan.
Breaks, by the way.
It's so complicated. But yeah, if you're listening to the pod, you're not seeing any of that. But if you're watching on the stream, you're getting all the bells and whistles because I'm back at the command center, and it's very complex. Hence, we failed the first time because I'm rusty. I'm absolutely rusty in so many ways. Right, tonight, as we've got the season review. You like this, don't you, normally?
I've liked it the last 2 years. Yeah. Especially, I mean, it is a very interesting one this year because I think everyone's aware we both had very slow starts to the season. And then you just came back in the second half like an
storm back
rocket, and I kind of plateaued. And we had very, very different, after kind of an identical start to the season, we really went off in different directions, but then ended up 1 point separate.
Unbelievable. And we're going to look through that season and the thrilling climax that we arrived at in game week 38. I really thought I'd beat you, and it was a bit of an anticlimax for me because I had the momentum and I thought, of course I'm going to take him easy. But it didn't turn out that way. You had a fly on the final day, didn't you?
I had an unlikely saviour.
You really did. Pedro Porro. We're not going to look at our teams in game week 38. I haven't got them, but Pedro Porro came in with, even though I had Kane captain, you had Porro. What else? You got the bloody penalty save and De Gea.
Save he's ever made in his life.
Oh my God! Can believe
I'll touch on it quickly because it was a very interesting game because you were 6 points ahead of me, and then I took a hit. So you were
10 points.
Going in, and I knew you'd captain Kane because you love Kane.
Yeah,
and my plan was just to get in as many kind of differential players. So I took a hit for Eze to not play McAllister because I knew you had him. I went for Salah because I knew you'd have Kane. And all this, so our teams were quite different going in. And I got my notepad out and I wrote out. All the
you didn't say that. You didn't say you were doing proper homework and stuff.
Proper.
Oh yeah, no, I did see your sketch. You were doing lots of end of season sketches.
I kind of worked out I needed like 3 attacking returns more than you to beat you, and then Kane scored in like the first 2 minutes. And I was just like, well, that's that. Like, you've won it in the first 2 minutes. There's no way I'm coming back to this.
Because that would put me about 16 ahead, right? Or something.
I know. And then it just all your City players blanking, Porro coming in with a huge haul, De Gea saving a penalty, Watkins scoring, just everything that I needed to happen happened. It was an unbelievable. And then I thought you'd clip me then because Botman got a random bonus point. That's how close the margins were.
The thing is, had Pep made subs, because he only made one sub at Brentford. I think, did he take Ake off? I can't remember. He made one sub and that was an injury, and he didn't make any other subs. Now, had Mahrez gone off before the 85th minute, which normally I think he would have done, we'd have been level and I'd have won on transfers.
Did you? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, because you made 56 transfers to my 44. Yeah. So I would have won. Had Pep taken Mahrez off before 85, which any other game week he would have done, but because it was the final day and they had the final, he left him on because he didn't want to bring anyone on, I guess, to get any late injuries. But so that's the margin.
Next level, isn't it? I mean, you think 2,000, I don't know how many points we got, but like over 2,000 points, and then And it happens like quite a lot, doesn't it? Like you see lots of people saying they've won mini leagues by 1 point. I've won a mini league before by 1 point, like a couple of years ago, but this was the big one because, it was bittersweet because obviously you've been having a bit of a hard time lately. And part of me, was happy that you were doing well.
Thanks very much.
But then the majority of me was, I cannot lose this.
Every fibre.
I will never live this down ever if you've crawled backwards, back about 65, 70 points at one point.
Yeah.
Whew. So, 1 point in the end. And absolutely.
We're going to analyse it in a bit of detail. And then so forgive us, it's going to be a bit indulgent, but hey, you're here, so you probably know what we're like anyway. We're not going to have player data and team data. We'll roll that out in the pre-seasons ones. We're just going to look at some analysis of our teams using some of the tools that are out there, FPL Optimised, FPL Guru, FPL Review, loads of really quality signings out there, sites out there to look at. So we'll do that. Then, of course, fixtures today. We're going to do a bit on that. Az has had a play with fpl.team, another excellent site from Pete, who puts that out, and he's got some prices in there already, and you've got some thoughts on teams in that with his prices. Also, you've had a dabble with your own prices, Az.
Well, the great thing about FPL Team is you can change the prices. So if you build a team you like and you can't afford it, you just change the prices, and then you end up with a team that you do like. Now, Pete's done a good job.
Has he?
He has done a good job. I think he's gone a little bit too high on some of them. Mine aren't radically different to what he's got, but I did move a couple down. But just as a spoiler, I will say the template that we're going to be looking to looks like it was at the end of our season, right? It's going to be Trippier, it's going to be Salah, it's going to be Kane, Haaland, all the Arsenal players. These are all the guys with good fixtures. I'm telling you right now, we're going to see massive price hikes for these guys, and it is hard to build a team. So if FPL get the pricing right, there's going to be big decisions to be made, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It's a big if. Yeah. Let's face it, it's not easy, is it, to get the prices right? And I think the general opinion is, even though we kind of turned it around, or I turned it around the last half of the season, I do think the prices were a bit of an issue last season. So hopefully...
Oh, really? You haven't mentioned that before?
No. Or if you can see some of my WhatsApps. Well, it's actually better you don't see.
Well, it's definitely better. People don't see those.
Anyway, let's swiftly move on to the great and the good, shall we? I didn't know what order to do any of this in, really, so it's a bit random, so apologies. Again, I'm rusty. Congratulations, FBL Harry. He joins the great and the good Hall of Fame. I think Fabio's won it twice. General's won it once, I want to say, and then myself ran it the very first year. I don't think
General's won it.
Oh, no, Villa-Ronca.
Hit me 1 year by about 3 points.
So a couple of legends have won it, Fabio and Villa-Ronca. I've won it and Harry's won it now, so a couple of upstarts.
Great and good indeed.
Yes, exactly. So we finished not mid-table, that would be too kind, wouldn't it? Lower mid-table. We beat some fella called Magnus Carlson. Don't know what he does. He's obviously part-time. I don't know if he's got another job outside of FBL, but you know anything about him? But he came below us. Jeffrey Dance, who obviously was so upset he decided to leave Scout. He resigned from Scout as a result of it. So he retired Jeff. That's I don't know if he retired Magnus. Magnus, we're only joking if you're out there, and of course you are watching because I know you do.
Got to come on the pod now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's only a matter of time before I slide into his DMs with that request. So we beat Magnus and Jeff, which isn't too bad because they, as you know, are absolute quality players and legends of the game in previous years. So, all right, I think I was quite happy with that. Almost caught Neil, didn't we? And could have gone up a few more places because he struggled second half of the season, I think. But look, I mean, we were the biggest gains on the final day, 53,000, 76,000. So, yeah.
I mean, it was honestly, it was all worth it for that final day because that was one of the most exciting days. Like football aside, Brighton had already got Europa League, Forest had already survived, so we didn't have that kind of threat over us. But we had this battle between us, and that's what FPL is all about, isn't it? I just loved it. It was so exciting, and it's so funny that you can have this battle when we're both having pretty kind of middling seasons. But yeah, your comeback and everything that happened made it really good. But yeah, I mean, it's in terms of rank, it's a pretty forgettable.
Well, we're going to look at our season. We're going to look at our season's histories and where it places in a minute. But I'll just carry on with the great and the good analysis because there's a few more tidbits here. obviously, there we go. The transfers made, you made 46 and I made 42. So I would have won by 4 transfers had Mahrez got subbed off.
52 hits.
52, I was going to say that. But then again, this is it, right? A question for you. Like, lessons learned. I haven't put this in lessons learned about hits, but look at Harry. He made 52 as well, and he won.
Yeah.
So
he made good decisions.
Yeah, well, exactly. Is it as straightforward as, don't take hits? Because you look at Joe there, who had a great season. I only took 16 points in hits. I only took 4 hits all season, which was the lowest in the league. And then Harry and yourself on 52. Did it feel like you were taking that many hits?
I'm surprised at that. No, it didn't. I mean, early on, we were both struggling, weren't we? And as soon as you get off to a bad start, you're having to correct things and take hits. And I was, going for it in doubles and bringing in just kind of the wrong players over and over again. So I knew I'd taken quite a lot, but I wasn't expecting to be joint top out of all of these. But it's really interesting to see Harry right at the top there. I remember he took a -12 or a -16, didn't he, in a double game?
Did he?
Everyone was kind of shocked by it because it was like a big move. I think he was in the top 1K or around the top 1K, and he took like a big hit. So, fair play. That's having some balls, isn't it, to take a big hit when you're doing that way.
I love to see that kind of thing when you're. I mean, like, it's all very well sitting where I was sitting and taking hits, but when you were ranked where Harry was and doing that kind of thing, that really does take a lot of kahunas, and it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do when you've got maybe a top 100 finish in sight. Didn't get that, but he had an incredible season. There's the second half. I mean, he beat me second half, but I managed to come on top of everybody else, which I needed to do. I needed that second half revival.
Amazing.
It was a crazy thing, and we'll do a bit of analysis on that, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But you did struggle second half. Just want to point that out. All right.
Well, I finished about where I came.
Yeah.
So I feel like my rank this year was quite fair, whereas you'll be disappointed after having such a strong second half.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to hope that the boys just carry it on next year, right? I've got to hope that we go into a good pre-season and start the season how we ended the last, right? Of course, that's all nonsense, and I wish that was the case, but I'll imagine that will be the case. I think, it's interesting. When you said about taking hits, you took a lot of hits in the second half, maybe a bit of panic that, I'm catching you, So.
Well, there was panic. I mean, I played a wild. We delayed the wild cards, didn't we? And I played mine. I played mine later than yours.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get it right. I think that was a big contributing factor in why I struggled towards the end, because I was having to make hits to correct wildcard decisions, and I think I took 3 hits in the last 6 weeks or something like that. That's not what you want to be doing when you leave the wildcard right till game 32. Like, to then take 3 lots of hits, you're supposed to set yourself up, and then carry on. So yeah, I got that wrong, and the hits I took didn't really pay off. Like, and I bought Eze in on the last day, and he didn't do anything. So yeah, they weren't great, and I had a good season last year playing the opposite of that. I'm barely taking any hits, and I was definitely pushing for big balls, but I don't really regret it, because bringing in Eze, I thought he would get a big ball against
he
Forest,
was a very popular transfer.
Yeah, he was.
But he was playing the mighty Forest, who were a different level towards the end, obviously. You talk about your wild card. You were the only one here. This table shows you were the only one in the great and the good to play the wild card in game week 31, the second wild card, that is. You were a bit of a maverick with the wild card, actually. You were the only one to play your first in game week 5, and then you rolled your second one out in 31 when everyone went in 26 or 27 mainly, apart from Magnus. And you think, in hindsight, do you think that was a mistake then, because you were then trying to repair from that point?
Well, we had our most ever views on BlackBox when we did our episode after everyone had wildcarded, and we were smug as you like because Salah had just got his 21 points, whatever it was, against Man U, and we were absolutely chuffed. And you then played it kind of a couple of weeks later. I really wanted to do something different with it, and I was hoping that by 31 there'd be a few more players in the mix. And in the end, Pedro Porro, who I bought in, was the saviour on the wild card. And actually, I look at the decisions I made, and I got quite unlucky. I benched Watkins for his double-digit haul, for example. I benched Moreno for his double-digit. I benched Porro for a double-digit as well. So if I'd got those around the right way, then maybe I would be saying how how disastrous the wild card was.
Your bench made me chuckle a few times, should we say?
The bench towards the end is the most pain I've ever been in FPL. Like, genuinely, it was like I completely lost faith in my own ability to choose players to play out of my own squad, let alone make transfers. It was an awful.
I mean, I was
end.
surprised you started Poro. I thought you'd get that wrong again on the final day, because that would have been hilarious.
Because he didn't play the game before that.
No, exactly. So I thought you would basically not risk it and not play him.
Can you imagine if I'd lost to you by not playing Poro and he got?
I could imagine quite, because it looked like you were going to do that. This is our other chips. What do you think? I mean, like our triple captain 60. A lot of us got the Rashford
happy with
triple captain. Yeah, I think we got to be happy with that. Bench boost 22 for you, 26 for me. Middling, isn't it? Really, it's like what a good bench boost we say is what 20 plus, 25 plus ideally. So that's okay. That's okay.
It's just like every year I feel like that chip is worth like 50 points. You know?
We build it up.
Game week every time, and then we say it every year, but having to change your squad around to bring in these players and put your money elsewhere, then you don't get your premiums in. Like that's probably a reason why a lot of us didn't get Kane, for example, because we're having to build these bench boost squads with more expensive players. And then you end up with 20 points, and you just feel like, oh, is it worth it? Like even the worst bench boost would get like 8. And it's not even that many. Yeah,
there's some 30s in there. FPL Matthew got a 30. Andy got a 30. Slippers, sorry. I can't call him Andy, can I? And then Harry got the 31 as well, didn't he?
So, yeah, I mean, 30s are a good score.
Hit subscribe.
There he is. Good old Andy.
That scared me. What was going on? Yeah, I mean, 30s are a great bench, isn't it? I mean, 20 I'm happy with. Like you say, I'd say anything between 60 and 20 is a decent result for that.
Yeah. No, so happy with the chips there. What else was there? Free hit. We got 64, 65. It was lower bit there. If you look at the other scores, Magnus got 49, but it was bad, wasn't it? Not great.
That chip was just like all the players that we considered, and then like I don't know. I got an all right score, but I remember Isak. I had on my bench, took him out last minute for Bowen. It was a big thing. There was someone else who did really well that was quite popular. And then players like Gakpo, like a lot of us had, I think a lot of us went for like triple Liverpool attack, and they just didn't get any points. It was, I don't know, that was a painful week as well, that free hit week, because there was potential there. There was all these players right on the cusp of our thinking, and we went for other ones, and it didn't pay off. And if you were braver, and you see some scores here of like 88 from General, for example, Savanish down there at 89. I mean, it was okay to get 65. It was about middle of the road, but I was really disappointed that I couldn't hit the 90s with that.
I just wonder again, like, I mean, I had a very good second half, which obviously the second half is the chips, and yet my chips weren't spectacular by any means, but other than the Rashford TC. Again, like, I don't know whether we forget this every year, but we really do build the chips up as being the centre of our strategy for at least 4 or 4 game weeks. Like we target certain things for chips, and yet we always sit here every year and go, oh, they're a bit mediocre every year, don't we?
Give us first half of the season chips. Yeah. I say it every year. It would make it so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Every year I say it.
Let's talk about that. We'll dwell on this in a minute. With more analysis in a minute. But FPL changes. A lot of talk about the new format. I think we know what that's going to be. But okay, well, I do, but
you little rat bag.
But what do you think about?
One knows what do
they not?
Be.
Oh, okay. Right,
We've had the most vague thing in the world.
All right, scrap that. Edit that. I don't have a clue. Don't have a clue.
You've not even been around for the last 3 months.
But what do you think of? I mean, I don't know if there's any other changes coming. Don't know if there's any rule changes coming.
You said yeah, I've got absolutely no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got a clue. No.
I don't know what they're going to bring in. The fact they say it's a new feature indicates to me it's going to be a new game of some description, not just rule changes or format changes. Existing game. I think it's going to be something like Ultimate FPL. That would be my guess, but I've got no idea.
Okay. All right.
I hate you so much.
Mark has been in the FPL tower sneaking around. That explains a lot.
That explains how you've got so much success.
That explains that rank of 42 in 2013.
All those assists you gave yourself.
I was particularly loose at that point as a season. Deary me, how did it? What a turn it's made this has. Let's talk about my history and your history.
we talked enough about your history.
Oh dear. Oh, I'm loving it already. Season history then. You're top there and you're obviously the last season highlighted there in date order. And then the second table is where that season ranks in your overall season history, and it's your third worst, right? So did it feel like that? I mean, when you were playing it?
Yeah,
Didn't start
I mean,
like that.
The 2008-9 one was kind of, I wasn't really totally in the FPL zone. I remember I went for Robinho over Berbatov, and then Berbatov got 5 goals, was it, against someone else? And I kind of gave up a bit after that. But then I kind of got into it afterwards. But yeah, I mean, it's felt like, I've had 3 other seasons around this rank, and it's kind of felt like all of those just a bit difficult to really push on into the upper echelons, a bit kind of meh, bit, I don't know. I haven't enjoyed it. I haven't enjoyed this season. I think this season has been my least enjoyable one of the
really?
lot.
Apart
Apart from that final day, yeah. And we've talked about why. I mean, the template being strong, the kind of this real focus on analytics, making decisions for you. You know, we've talked about all of that stuff countless times. I'm not going to go into it all again, but it felt like a bit of a culture shift in FPL this season, and I haven't really enjoyed it as much.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when you look at the first table there, and it's like the last 4 seasons, 3 of them have been 145k or above. So I've got that one season, the first season of BlackBox when I came 2061. And then, 3 of the last 4, really what I would describe as average seasons. Obviously, I'm very happy with the finish of 145 after the start I had, and we'll see just how much of a comeback it was in a bit. But it's my 4th worst season, which, you know, and 3 of those 4s have come in the last 4 years. So
what's changed?
I know
You've been working with me.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I just think that and maybe the theory isn't it, that it's got harder, more players, a bigger role that analytics is playing, which is like making it very difficult to compete and stand out, because there's a legion of managers all using tools now. And it was even when I was doing Scout and Premier League stuff, the talk then was we were spoon feeding people. Now I guess that's just going up increments every year, because we've got the models who have dropped in on top of the content, and then you've got more content creators like us. So what's your view? I mean, does it feel harder? I guess it does, right?
Oh, it's without a doubt harder. I mean, there's no doubt. And I mean, the models are very, very good and very effective. And, you brought in the first models into Scout, and we've been, using them on BlackBox. And that's what we're trying to create with XG models and everything. Like, I'm not saying for a second that these models aren't impressive and excellent, but they do make, decision-making that little bit easier in a way when you've kind of got something telling you what to do. And that's not always the right thing to do. I mean, Pedro Porro for me was an example of that wasn't being mentioned on any models, and you do get this sense. But I think particularly in the first half of the season, we both tried to experiment against this kind of optimal play, and it was just an absolute disaster. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for us. You gambled against like the likes of Jesus and Salah early on and got punished. We both went without Haaland and got, famously murdered on the match of the day stream. More of those next season, by the way. We've got to make sure we do some match of the days next year. And it just felt like any kind of decision like that did get punished. And it was nice that certain decisions this year, like the Wilson, captaincy, kind of went well, because for me that was a big risk going for him, because Isak was the much safer choice. Who's guaranteed to play, whether it was on the left or on through the middle, whereas Wilson was a bit more dangerous, but people were rewarded. And I like to see that. I like to see, bravery and those kind of decisions be rewarded.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Imogen Dooley says, as I need some tips, I'm new to FPL. What is it? There was like 2,000 in it between me and Az, and look at the season histories. Like, you go to Az, Imogen.
Hey, all I'm saying is we've done 3 seasons. I'm 2 on up
now
after losing the first one.
No, and you're very good at bringing new managers into the game with Natalie, of course. Who at last we beat her. This is the first time. This is the first time I've beaten her since we brought her into the game through The Apprentice, and. Yeah, we only just at one point she was beating us both again. So,
I know that was bad. 100%. Natalie, if you're listening, you are coming on a pre-season BlackBox, because the fact that not only has Natalie carried on doing it, but she's still enjoying it, like really enjoying it. She says it's created a whole new dynamic with her husband as well, where they send each other WhatsApps about
is it separate houses now and stuff, right?
It's probably coming to that. But she was really disappointed with this season because it's that second season. You want to feel like you're building on what you've learned in the first one, but then she feels like she's gone backwards, and that is how a lot of us feel. We feel like we put all this time and effort in, and we want to every year do a bit better, and we end up, having third and fourth worst seasons we've had. It's a tough old game.
How did Billy do? Says Nigel H. Billy forgot to update his team towards the end of the season. I forgot to remind him. It was a total accident.
Where did he finish in the end?
I don't know. I'll have to have a look. But below me, I beat him quite comfortably. But
he's sabotaged.
I cannot take that. I had to beat somebody. Some data from FPL Guru. This is just a summary analysis, really.
This game week with worst game week ranks.
Yeah, look at those worst game week ranks. 8.3 for you, 9.3 for me. I think 9.3 million game week rank is my worst ever game week rank. It's got to be.
That is unbelievable.
I mean, 8.3 might even be yours, I would have thought.
I think it probably is. There's probably only 8.3 million players when I got that rank as well. That is unbelievably bad. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, so I think if you'd have picked your optimum team all season, as in played your bench instead of some of your players, you'd have got 2957.
Oh, God.
And I'd have got 2914. So you'd have absolutely thrashed me had you picked your best team. But you benched so many players, of course, as we touched on at the start of the show. So does that make you feel better? No, good.
No, it makes me feel awful. Where would 2957 have put me? What did Ali get?
Oh, don't look at that.
Oh, I would have beaten Ali by 200 points. That's good to know.
No, you wouldn't. Surely not.
Yeah, he got 2776.
Yeah, okay, but what is his total? I'm not going to look it up, but he would have. Yeah. Wow. There's no point in having regrets. As Captain Point 666, you obviously did a deal with the devil there. To my 724, I did all right with the captains. I think we both did, to be honest. We're going to look at the captaincy. Yeah, that's a 60-point difference there, isn't it?
Genius. Absolute genius, I've got to say.
We're going to do analysis of captains. There's some quite interesting stuff there coming up, bit of a tease, because we look at Ali, who won FBL, and look at how he picked his captain, and I've done some data analysis which kind of shows the strategy that he switched to in the second half, and I think from that we've got a lesson learned, a new lesson learned for the BlackBox Lessons. I'll be showing that later on as well. Pressing on, let me see what else is there. Oh yeah, your captains returned 71%, mine was 78%. Pretty good, those, I think.
That's good, isn't it?
I think you were 72 last year, I was about 73, so we were up on last year. Most captain, you, Haaland. You were a Haaland fanboy, weren't you there? 17
Three
times.
more times than you after all your talk about.
He returned for you 70% of the time. He returned for me 78% of the time. And he hauled 52% for you.
Not bad, is it?
Yeah. Salah was your second best captain, or second most favoured captain with 8, who returned for you 62% of the time. Then you captain McAllister.
Yeah.
Arsenal's McAllister.
It's a big drop off though, isn't it? From McAllister to like 17 for Haaland, 8 for Salah, and then it drops right down to 3.
Yeah.
And like, where's Kane on both of our lists after the season he had? Not even doesn't even feature.
No. And as I say, we'll look at a full breakdown of our captains later, but this is just a quick summary. And then your most captain fixtures: Bournemouth at home 3 times, Leicester at home 3 times, Leeds at home 3 times.
And look at Bournemouth. There wasn't the fixture to go for because 66% of the time they blanked. They were
they were
better than I mean they were just a better team than I think anyone predicted, didn't they? I think everyone had them to be relegated comfortably. So amazing season for them. And
in contrast, I backed against Leeds 4 times, Leeds away, and got returns every single time.
Every time, yeah.
So Leeds away, obviously, and I actually captained 3 times against Leeds at home. So sorry, Leeds fans, I kind of had it in for you. I mean, I like Leeds, and I've always wanted them to stay up. So surprised at that I betted against them so often. I guess it's that defence, though, wasn't it? It's like you had to go for it.
Awful. Yeah, it was awful. And again, another great captain decision was Kane in the last week. 2 goals and assist. I
Yeah.
can't believe you didn't beat me with Kane captain on the final day.
Go on about it. It's bad enough with Imogen wanting your help. Right, you have to go on about it. Right, ranked by game week. Here we go. This is the true horror of.
Oh God!
Oh, look at the second. You went to sleep from game week 21, basically. For people on the podcast, apologies, we're showing a graph, which I know is absolutely useless podcast content. We'll try and describe it. Basically, I've got a red line that goes right up to nearly must be 7 million, right? Must be close to 7 million. I was about 6.8 million at my worst rank. That was in game week 4. And then obviously that red line comes all the way down to just 1 point away from us at the end. You had a very poor start to the season as well, but not poor by my standards, but poor by yours. And then you really pulled it together, didn't you? Like, I think the wild card game week 5, you had a slight blip, like me. I think, we both paid wildcards and didn't get to see immediate returns. I paid it in 4, you paid it in 5. But overall, those wildcards did the trick for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, my game week 9 was absolutely huge because I had Maddison who got 18 points. I think I had Foden who got a hat trick.
Yeah.
I had Haaland. It was it was just one of those weeks where just everything went to plan, and that was the only week like that I had all season. And then I just kind of didn't really, from there, I think I could have and should have pushed on into the top 100k and had quite a good season, but I just couldn't. I just kind of dipped and dived in and out of, you can see from my thing, I was just up and down until a really steady plateau from game week 22. So yeah, the highs of game week 9 unfortunately didn't repeat themselves.
I mean, in game week 9, the gap between us must have been, let me just have a quick look. You were about 1.5 million at that point, and I was about 5.2 million, something like that. So the gap was in the millions at that point.
Well, I thought at that point that was it. I just didn't see you coming back from like 100
You were mocking me, weren't you?
I was like 100 points. Like I didn't do your poem this year like I did last year.
Did you not? Did you do me a poem? Did you? Oh,
you did my poem to you, Ode to Mark.
Oh yeah, okay. No, you didn't even think it was
worth. Can take little Southern's comfort in another red. That was a good line. That.
You didn't think it was worth it. I obviously didn't give up because obviously did well second half. I think that it was a bit like the lockdown season in a way because, we had the full refresh then of our teams. I think the fact that we could do the unlimited transfers in game week 17, I think it was, made me think that, it was game week 17, made me think, well, anything could happen after that. Maybe I can turn it around. And that's exactly what happened. It was a dramatic turnaround from there. I didn't get that right straight away. You can see from the graph, like the couple of weeks after game week 17, I went up and down, up and down. And then from game week 20 onwards, I had a couple of massive gains and then plateaued towards the end, a bit like you. And then had a good finish in the last few. I mean, I don't know what I did in the second half that I need to repeat in the start of next season, other than all I can point to was I think Haaland became less of a dominant captain, and we had the emergence of Rashford in the second half of the season, didn't we? After the break, and he became a captain choice that we both got on the triple captain, but he also was a viable option a few times. And I just think there seemed to be for a while a bit more variety, and it was a bit more exciting. And then it got boring again from about 21, 22 onwards, didn't it? It got very tedious at that point. So we had that 5 or 6 game weeks where there was a little bit of variance, which is where I gained, and then it kind of dipped again. That's how it felt anyway.
And also I think it, from game week sort of 25, 26, when everyone started playing their wild cards and everyone kind of had identical teams, it was really hard to push on because, the blank game week came, then it was that double. And like the 11 that we all had was all so similar and it just made so much sense. And then, like I said earlier, when it got to 31, 32 wildcard, I wanted there to be new players emerging and there just wasn't. So everyone ended up with the same team. Everyone was making moves. And then anytime you try to do something a bit different, like I bench Watkins, huge red, So everyone was, I think that this kind of graph will be similar for a lot of people in the sense that those kind of last 8 to 9 weeks, I don't think there was huge moves unless you went for a Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson was the factor, wasn't he?
He was the big one. Or if you had a really good free hit and went for some of the extras in that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I think there'll be a lot of flat lines from around 28, 29.
Yeah, Imogen saying thank you for the tips. You've been emailing them already. It's ridiculous. So this is.
Not sure we've given any tips, have we? We've just been
No,
lamenting our.
She's clearly not listening. This is our rank versus the top 10k by game week. I'm in the red, you're in the blue here, and I think the first thing it highlights is what a terrible start I had to the season. So if we're below the 0 line, that means we've scored below the top 10k average for that week. If we're above the 0 line, we outscored the top 10k average. There's a lot more blue above the line in the first half of the season and significantly less in the second half, which is obviously what you'd expect based on the previous graph. It shows what a terrible start I had. I mean, look at those. I mean, how many times I think in the first 10 game weeks I only beat the top 10k twice, and one of those was by a tiny margin. So I lost to the top 10k 8 of the first 10 game weeks.
A big one for that was Jesus, wasn't it? Because he hit the season running quite hard. I think, and he got those 19 points against Leicester, didn't he? And you didn't have him because you went for Saka, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously didn't have Haaland as well. So
yeah, no, and absolutely. And we'll look at losses and games in a second. That's the next screen. Obviously, look at the second half, though. Look at the towers of red that I just managed to make some good decisions in that second half. And there's the 36. So you had game week 9. If you see, look at the difference between us in game week 9. I'm below the top 10k by 8 points, and you're above it by what, 28? And then it's the reverse and some in 36. Isn't it? Basically.
I mean, how you didn't beat me with that 36 red versus my blue? Yeah. That is a massive difference, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy. But it shows how that shows, and we're going to have more evidence of this, that we didn't kind of conform, did we? We were either one extreme or the other for most of the season. There's a few small bars there where we were along, trying to almost following what the top 10k were doing. But not many. A lot of them are quite extreme losses or extreme gains. So, yeah, we'll see a bit more of that in a minute.
I think that's the obviously we don't get prizes for playing it our own way, but that is something that we wanted to do and we've always talked about on this stream. And yeah, I think we did that. I think we got in players who we thought would do well. We didn't conform to templates. We got in Haaland because we realised we had to. We maybe were a bit stubborn on certain things, but overall, there's not a lot of things I regret. I regret not getting Wilson because that was a kind of a me type move to be a bit braver. That I went for Isak instead. But other than that, I feel like I played it similar to how I want to play the game, but just didn't always get the rewards.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, we'll get on to the risk analysis later, and also I've got a treat for you. I've got John from FPL Review had a look at our charts and just gave us an appraisal without knowing who was who.
Oh.
So I'll read that out verbatim for you, so you can get an appraisal from John, who's the guy, if you didn't know, behind FPL Review, the brilliant FPL Review, the projection site. But he also does a season analysis chart that we always do every season, and we'll look at those in a minute. And he picks out some of that. He picks out some of that from both our accounts.
Are you sure you've got these the right way around?
What's that? Losses?
These two?
I haven't. No, you're absolutely right. No. Let me change that on the fly.
I'm looking at it thinking, I definitely benefited from Foden.
No, you're absolutely right.
Kane.
It's because I normally had you at the top in the others. That's the right way around.
That's better. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Which is completely opposite to our images on the screen, but there you go. It's chaos, isn't it, Rusty, as I said? Yeah. Right. So, yeah, there you go. So Kane was the player that damaged me the most over the season. But that's largely because Salah was the player who benefited me most over the season. And I very rarely I don't think I ever went 3 heavy hitters. So I had Haaland, and then I chose between Kane or Salah, and more often went for Salah. And I won in the end because I got 106 points off Salah, and I would have got 91 off Kane. So I guess I went the right way. Saka was a big gain for me. I got 81 points off him versus the top 10k. Trent, 60 off him versus top 10k. Fernandes 59, McAllister 57, and then Estupinan, who was a hero for me at one point with the 17 points at the Emirates, of course.
Oh, God.
Your gains versus the top 10k, Salah, your top player, 85. Again, you favoured Salah over Kane. But interestingly, Kane did fewer...
United, wasn't it?
So what was that? Salah did what?
The big haul against United, wasn't it, that helped us both with that?
It was, yeah. But Kane did less damage to you. So when you timed the move from Salah to Kane very well. Or I think you trebled up, didn't you?
I had all 3.
Yeah.
I had my best spells of the season when I had all 3. The 3 premiums. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So De Bruyne, 62 points over the top 10k for you, which included a captaincy at the start of the season, I think.
God, that was
which
the
did
most
really well for you.
That
right?
was the most nervous I think I've ever been watching game of football, because everyone had Haaland captain and he only got an assist, and De Bruyne got a big haul. And I thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to be able to carry De Bruyne now for a few more weeks. And then Haaland got back-to-back hat tricks, was it? And yeah, it wasn't. I think I got him in for the second one, and you didn't.
Well, we're looking at Haaland ownership in a minute, so I've got some analysis of that.
I'm happy with some of these games. I mean, Foden, I've always seemed to time
you
that
do
quite
well with
well
Foden.
with him. I know.
You and Foden are just like, I don't know how you do. It's like you and Reece James. You're brilliant with Reece James as well, aren't you?
I just somehow I have a sense, and if Mahrez goes, I think he could be an interesting option next year. I mean, Zinchenko as well. He was someone that I just genuinely liked as a player, and I wasn't convinced he was going to be the best FPL asset. But then I think he got a goal for me, and I was really happy with that. But my biggest success this season, and after the Guimaraes stuff of last year, I didn't think I could do it again. But I mean, I'm giving myself a lot of credit here. But Matoma, I was so happy because I did that article for Scout. I went on BlackBox. I was singing his praises so much, and I actually got him in before everyone else, and he tailed off massively towards the end of the year. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think spotting a player like that and having them actually returning team is.
That's why we play the game. Yeah, totally. And I do hope we have opportunities like that next season. I mean, Toma's he's a known quantity now. And it was interesting, actually. I think as he became more of a known quantity in the Premier League, he became less effective. I think teams got to him and shut him down more often. Yeah. So towards the end of the season, he faded a little bit in terms of output. But, he was brilliant for us.
I'd say overall you had pretty good success with Brennan as well. I remember him getting a double-digit haul for you.
He got two for me, I think. Yeah. He got one against Everton for me in the home game because he got 2 goals there. And I think he got a double digit against Leeds, did he? I want to say as well.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, I mean, I did very well with the budget strikers, actually. I did, it was one area that I managed to. I often went to a 6 million striker, and Brennan was that for a while. Yeah, it's funny actually because my relationship with Forest, I think it hindered me in the first half of the season because I didn't back against them with Haaland, for example. I didn't have Haaland in the home game against Forest at the Etihad, and Haaland got a hat trick and destroyed me. And we'll look at Haaland. This is at where we had Haaland over the season. As you can see, you didn't start with him, and you didn't get him in until game week 5. I got him in game week 2, which were his 2 lowest scoring game weeks in the first 5 game weeks. So I avoided him for game week 1, where he got, I think, 12, 13 points, and crucially missed him for game weeks 4 and 5.
But that was the incredible bit when you wildcarded him back out.
I wildcarded him out for De Bruyne.
That was
I know.
Unbelievable.
So I even had him before you, and I guess before some other people as well. I mean, a lot of people started him, but I started Kane, didn't I, game week 1. Didn't go Haaland, got him in immediately, and then wildcarded him out in game week 4, thinking, well, I'll go De Bruyne, I'm not going to go Haaland. And I think I got Kane back in, I presume.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was a killer.
And I missed a hat.
Wasn't it?
I didn't want him against Forest at the Etihad because I was still like giddy with the Forest thing. And obviously he got the hat trick in game week 4, I think, or game week 5, but he got big scores in 4 and 5, completely destroyed me. He got a return in 6, got a return in 8, not massive, but then I got him back for game week 9. But I didn't captain in game week 9, and you did, and that was the game week where you got not only the captain on Haaland, you got the Foden hat trick as well, and the Maddison return.
And the Maddison haul, yeah.
Yeah. So my relationship with Forest was weird because it started badly in that I couldn't bring myself to back Haaland against Forest. I think in game week 5, I think it was 4 or 5, I don't know. Like it was one of those two. So I missed his hat-trick there. But then in the second half of the season, when Haaland went to the City ground, I didn't back him and he blanked. And instead, I triple captain Rashford. And Rashford got... did I triple captain Rashford? No, Rashford got 24 points and I captained Rashford instead. So the swing there, because I backed with Forest, I thought, no, I think we'll keep Haaland quiet. And we did, somehow. That went in my favour. So in the second half of the season, when I went with Forest, obviously Forest got better in the second half of the season. It actually worked in my favour a few times.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, Forest became a team that we weren't really targeting for the captaincy in the second half because everyone knew about your home record and were afraid to captain anyone against you at the Forest ground. It just wasn't a good fixture essentially, and you stopped getting battered. I mean, you lost 4-0 to West Ham in game week 25,
and then it stopped, didn't it?
But then after that, I don't think you conceded more than 2 goals. You conceded 2 goals once after that, and that was to Southampton
and at home. I think we only conceded 2 goals at home in one game, and that was Spurs. So that, other than that, we only conceded 1 goal at home.
Well, no, and you conceded 3 to Southampton at home.
Oh yes, in that ridiculous game, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every other game, even away, even you were tipped to be like a bad away team, and you were losing away, but you weren't getting humiliated. There were 2-0s and 1-0s. There's no 4 or 5s.
So that was something new for me to have to contend with Forest, and I think it hurt me in the first half, but it benefited me in the second. Going into next season, I mean, who knows how that's going to go. Looking at the first 6 game weeks, which we will do, I don't think I'll be backing us there at all. FPL review then, let's get on to these charts. We do this every season, and this time John has kindly given me a summary of his thoughts on these charts. So again, apologies if you're on the podcast, you can't see what we're seeing here. But if you go to FPL review, you will get you can put your ID in, and you can get this chart, and it kind of shows how you fared against the FPL review model, the massive data EV, how you fared against XG data. So in other words, your selections, how they should have done had XG, had they returned on strong XG. It also shows your FPL points, but also luck as well. So where luck comes in, I think is where you overachieved on what the model thought that player could achieve, and obviously that tots up over the season and it gives you a luck value. So it's a really fascinating breakdown. I've always liked looking at it at the end of the season just to get a view. So I gave this to John to have a look at, and the top chart is and he's team 1 in this description, and I'm team 2. He starts by saying team 2 looked stronger purely based on EV data.
1 point, John.
With an edge of 40 points in the model, though both teams are pretty respectable in this regard, according to the EV values, right? Respectable never sounds good, does it? We don't want respectable. There's still estimated to be 25 to 30% chance team 1 wins, despite the apparent edge purely based on the probabilities. I don't know what that means, so we'll glaze over that because you said team 1 was better. We can see both teams did well in the translation of EV to XG points. Good. Okay, so that's good. This can be interpreted as the quality of chances players found themselves having versus the pre-match expectation. So the pre-match expectation is the EV, that's the projection, and then the quality of chances is the XG value. So that kind of tracked quite well, according to John. At this point, Team 2 extends their lead to 50 points on XG. So in other words, when looking at XG data, I should have beaten you by 50 points. But that didn't happen because the players I picked didn't deliver on XG. So unlucky, I would say. A little bit of luck.
Yeah, you need to put your arm around him and have a word.
He actually says that 50 points on my value on XG data is where we'd expect a typical Elite 1000 manager to be. So yeah, just saying.
Have you been sleeping around again with John?
He's in Ireland, it's too far to go. In the final and most important translation, XG points to FPL points, this is where things went wrong for Team 2, blah, 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 blah. I'll go over that. No. Neither team was outlandishly lucky or unlucky. He's got that wrong, clearly. It was still enough for a 50-point swing. And from the data, Team 1 players converted in situations better than Team 2 with the deciding factor. So basically, your players delivered on their XG more than my players. So I think when he says that not one team was lucky, is he really saying that? He kind of contradicts that when he says that. You were lucky.
Sounds like it a bit, doesn't it?
I'd say the signs are good for Team 2. While they lost the XG data, it would have been pretty heartening based on the EV top 100k. It was probably deserved. Yeah, so I came top 100k for EV over the season. Nonetheless, Team 1 gets the bragging rights, whatever. Stylistic differences. Both Team 1 and Team 2 made calls that significantly differentiated themselves from the Elite 1000 sample.
Hey.
So in other words, we played the game differently to the Elite 1000 managers, which are a group of managers that John has identified based on their past records. I think I used to be in that group. I'm probably not anymore based on my seasons. Team 2 looks to have taken on more risk. 95% basically risk compared to the Elite 1000.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
Team 1 is around the 90th percentile. Can you believe that? So we were 90 and 95% more risky than the Elite 1000.
Everyone was bloody sheep this year except for us.
So he describes us as two managers very much playing their own game.
Oh, that's nice. Do you know what? Forget the ranks. Forget it all. That's all I want to
This is a weird one, though. One notable difference in our teams is X-Min security. It looks like Team 2 took less risks here. That's me. So you took more risk with players who perhaps weren't likely to start. It looks like Team 1 gambles on players who were uncertain starters or living through periods of having a thin bench. Did you live through periods with thin bench? Did you have players that don't know any?
I definitely didn't towards the end of the season, but yeah, I mean, I've never really liked a stat bench, and players like Foden are always a risk, aren't they? So I guess I can see that. Yeah, I mean, Matoma as well was a risk at the time because Trossard was around. So yeah, I can see that. I do gamble on that. That's why I'm annoyed to go Wilson.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, fair enough. Nice. Thank you very much, John. All I can say is the variance luck says that you benefited from 21 points, whereas I benefited from minus 27. So make of that what you will.
2-1, Mark. That's all that matters.
Dearie me. So thanks so much, John, for that. Thanks to FPL Review. If you haven't gone and analysed your team on FPL Review, go and do that because it's absolutely cool. And join for the season because the models absolutely make my teams good on Scout, of course, but FPL Review I think is superb as well. So go and join and do what Luke does and pick your team according to the model every week. No, sorry, Luke, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I am Luke. I like the model.
We love you, Luke. We love you. FPL Optimize, Satal, who runs this site, who is another brilliant analytics manager and has this brilliant site to help us analyze our teams. And I got in touch with him in the pre-season, in the post-season, as I normally do. So thanks very much to Tout for helping out with this. Risk analysis. So this shows, this is fascinating. I mean, this is probably my favourite chart that I generate at the end of the season. It's kind of hard to describe for the podcast, but it's kind of like a scatter graph, and it kind of plots each game week and how your team in that game week compares to, in our case, in these charts, the top 10k average. So where you're 50% is where the line is drawn. If you're beyond 50%, you're taking a higher risk versus the top 10k teams, and if you're below 50%, you're obviously taking less of a risk against them. So we'll look at Ali's chart in a minute, and it's quite interesting how he fared there, and you can see his style of manager. And then you've got an x-axis, and if you're above that x-axis, you've benefited from that risk, and if you're below it, you lost points or you lost ground on the top 10k because of that risk. And I think, as you can see from this, I took more risks than you. But you did take some risks, and actually those risks came in very well for you. You've got some good scores in that top.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
happy with that.
Did it feel like that?
No, no, it definitely didn't. I mean, you took the biggest gamble of them all in taking out that, taking out Haaland on the wild card. I think anything compares to that. No, I'm surprised by that. It felt that, with quite a few decisions, I guess particularly the captaincy. I guess I'm focusing on that, but I guess some of my players I brought in, were differentials. I guess low owned. I always, if you offer me 100% owned player or a 1% owned player, I'll always pick the 1%. So it fits into how I feel like I play the game. I just didn't really feel like I did it this season.
The game week where your biggest risk was taken, that one that's out there at 70% or above 70%, it was game week 9 when you got Foden, and that was the big return. Your second riskiest game week was actually game week 1 because you went against Haaland, of course.
Oh, right? Let's not talk about game week 1. Game week 1 wasn't.
Your team was very different to the top 10K's team, as in the final top 10K team, because a lot of the top 10K had Haaland in game week 1. And it's the same for me. My most extreme risk, the one that edges out almost at 80%, was game week 1. Because not only did I not have Haaland, I also didn't have Salah. And the final top 10K, a lot of them had both those players, not surprisingly. So you can see what a risk we took with Game Week 1.
I like the comment from FPL Boa, Darren, in the chat. Us at the shooting range. We have slightly better accuracy.
Yeah, I'll move that up so people can see that. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it's clear there that Game Week 1 we took a massive risk compared to what the eventual top 10 did. And yeah,
it is tricky because I didn't want to start the season with the same team as everyone else, and you know, I just thought Haaland might take a little while to adapt, and he didn't, and I got that completely wrong. You backed against Salah not outperforming Son and got completely burnt by that, and you backed on Saka versus Jesus. I don't think any of these decisions were really bad decisions. I mean, they were according to the model and according to our ranks and everything else, but generally speaking, if you think about it purely from a footballing sense, I don't think any of those decisions were completely ridiculous. But it is really hard to recover if those don't go your way. And if we just played it safe and gone with those, we would have been in a better position.
Greg Foss makes a very good point there. Haaland was still an unknown quantity early last season. I don't know, unknown quantity. I think we knew he was going to rip it up eventually.
We knew he'd get 30 goals.
But
I don't think anyone was in question of that.
But he says his injury record in Germany suggested he may well be more prone to substitution. And that is absolutely it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were games in that start of the season where I thought, surely he's going to come off at this point. You know, we thought he was going to get subbed at 70 minutes, didn't we?
I know. He was playing 90 going into the Champions League and then playing the next game as well. I didn't think he could play 3 games.
Well, I think against Forest, he got the hat-trick and they took everybody else off apart from him. Yeah. And he'd already had his hat-trick, I think it was. And it's like...
He played way more than I thought he would.
That was really surprising. I think that was one of the big surprises with him all season, in that he was very rarely rested and he very rarely came off early. Like... Did he? He just didn't do it. It just didn't happen. And I made the assumption that we'd see him being spared around Champions League matches. I think he'd start, but I didn't think he'd get more than 65, 70. But he always did. It seemed. So we got that wrong, didn't we?
We did. And they had options. You had Alvarez, and he was coming alongside him and not even subbing for him. Yeah, we definitely got that completely wrong.
Yeah.
And that's a classic example of where overthinking plays its part, because when I talked to my uni friends who had Haaland from the start, they were like, obviously I'm going to get Haaland and keep him. He's the best player in the world and he's going to score 50 goals this season.
Yeah,
and totally. We were like, oh, he might, but it might come a bit later and he might get subbed around and all that. And it's like, actually, just go with the bleeding obvious sometimes.
We were. I mean, I remember Andy North saying, no, he's going to rip it up, and he got it absolutely right. Absolutely right. Comment from Sean. I feel like I'm back in a 2-hour lecture in college, uni for non-Americans. I don't understand half this data, but I'm here for it. But this is BlackBox, isn't it? As Sean, as Ed Gray says afterwards. Yeah, good old Ed. You're absolutely right. If you think this is like a lecture, wait until we get going next season. Blimey. Here's some more charts for you, and this includes Ali's chart. Ali, of course, congratulations, Ali, for the winning FPL Guns, I think his team is.
More importantly, winning the BlackBox League.
Yeah, winning the BlackBox League as well, ahead of Joanne Halzowen, who was very unlucky, though, Joanne, because we've got to point this out to her when we're going to try and get her on the show, aren't we? Had Jacob Ramsey scored that sitter, she would have won FPL, because she was the only one who had Jacob Ramsey in the top 10. He would have got extra points for the goal, would have got maximum bonus, and she made less transfers than Ali. So by missing that sitter, although he got 2 assists on the final day, I don't know if anyone saw it, he missed an absolute sitter in the game.
Yeah.
Had he scored, Joanne would have beaten Ali.
Also, had he scored, you'd have beaten me. Because I'd have lost a bonus point for Watkins.
Oh, geez. I mean, that's worse than losing FPL, that is.
I know. The margins are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe Joanne didn't know that, and I've just absolutely ruined her summer there with that. But hopefully not.
Well, at least I ruined you back, so it's fine.
on the brilliant season, and not to take away from Ali, who was right up there a lot of the season.
He deserved to win. He didn't put a foot wrong, really, did he?
Look at this chart, though. So we looked at our risk analysis. Look at his. Look how many game weeks that he's down that 50% line. Right, so his scatter graph is a lot more concentrated on that 50% line, which is basically saying he is much more aligned to the top 10K than we were, which perhaps you'd expect. So in other words, he took very few risks versus the top 10K compared to me and compared to you, but certainly compared to me. And his most extreme risk was between 60 and 70% against the top 10K, whereas mine was towards the 80s. So he didn't take many risks, and when he did, he took like lower kind of extreme risks.
It wasn't. It was. It. What I say it. I've been saying it all season. It just wasn't a season for risk taking.
No.
This year, it was a season for doing the bleeding obvious and having a few good game weeks. And if you did that, then you had a really good season. As simple as that. And it's not always like that. Sometimes you can do the bleeding obvious and it's wrong every week, and we've seen that happen in the past. But this year was a.
Yeah, I mean, this is the crux of it. Do you think? I mean, what was funny as well? The FPL did that analysis of everybody, didn't they? Gave everybody like, "Oh, you were a manager," and everyone got risk taker. Everyone, right? Not being funny, but Ash from FPL Hints got. Is it FPL Hints? FPL Tips. Yeah. FPL Hints. He got risk taker. Right, Ash. I've been on. Bless him. I was on. What's it called on Twitter? What's it called? The thing you do when you're live? Spaces. God almighty. Grandad? Come on, Grandad. Is Chris watching? He'd know. He'd be able to get that before me, Chris Phillips. I was on Spaces with Ash early in the season when I was doing badly. Then I kind of gave up going on them because I couldn't take the embarrassment. And we had plenty of arguments about EO, because he is a manager who sticks to EO. He will pick his team according to effective ownership, pick his captain according to effective ownership. He's probably the least risk-taking manager I've ever come across. And he got risk-taker from the... I mean, what did you have to do not to get risk-taker from that? If you didn't get risk-taker in your FPL review, can you let us know? Because I really want to see a screenshot of someone who didn't get it. Because I think everyone got it. I think, it was crazy.
I think I saw someone got like wheeler dealer or something.
Did they? What did they do? And they make 400 transfers?
And I think they were like, I didn't even make that many
Was
transfers.
that a H Redknapp, was it? Who was that?
I don't think that quite had the those profiling quite had the
wheeler dealer,
the algorithm behind it. So.
So Ali took very few risks, and he took better risks, more calculated risks, I guess. We're going to look at Ali a bit more now when we look at captains as well, because captains was a key area for me. I got a total of 352 points for my captain, which you double. You got 323, but Ali beat us both, 369 in total from his captaincy. And what we've done here, we've compared our captain choices from the favoured captain choice from the top 10k. Thanks very much to Live FBL, Ragaboly's amazing site, livefpl.net, for this data. So what I've shown here is the preferred captain from the top 10k every week, the percentage of the top 10k that selected him, and the points that captain got. And then I've compared our captain, including Ali, to that choice. And when I've highlighted in green, that's when we've gone with the favoured captain. So as you can see, Ali overall went with the selected favourite captain 25 times out of 38. So did you. So you were quite by the book with your captaincy. I only went with the favourite captain 19 times out of 38, so only 50% of the time. When you went against the favourite captain, you beat it 7 times out of 13. So you came out better more times than not. So did Ali. And when I went against the favourite captain, I beat it 11 times out of 19. So I was about the same. I was up on that. This is interesting, though. When you went against the favoured captain, the average ownership of that favourite captain was 65%. So in other words, you were quite risky when you went against the captaincy when that favourite captain was quite high owned. I was even higher, 68%, so I went even further. But Ali is the lowest out of the three of us with 63. So in other words, again, when he took a risk with the captaincy, he did it in weeks where the ownership of that captain, or the effective ownership of that captain, was likely to be lower. So in other words, he took more educated risks against the captaincy. I think that's really interesting. Don't know about you.
Yeah, well, he went against Haaland when Haaland was less owned or not playing, I guess. Look
at the end. Look how many times he went with, for a start as well, the top 10k went with Haaland as their favoured captain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in the first 12 game weeks, is it? No, 8 in the first 11. Haaland was the favourite captain. So the only players who beat Haaland in the first 11 game weeks from the top 10k were Jesus in game week 3, Salah in game week 4, and Salah in game week 1. So Haaland was overwhelmingly the favoured captain once he got those hat-tricks, obviously. Ali did go against Haaland, though, in those weeks. He got Kane, Jesus, and Kane again, and actually came out on top in game weeks 6, 7, and 8. So he did well there when he went against Haaland. then in the second half of the season, look how much he went with the favoured captain in the second half. So from game week 20 onwards, he only went against the favoured captain 5 times, 5 out.
I think, and I did the same, and I think that touches to my point that around game week 20, 22, something like that. It was just, I just felt like the choices were bloody obvious to make. Like Haaland just was the best captain, and he was delivering every week. It was, it was hard to go against him, particularly from game week 30. And that's when it was really difficult to go against him because Rashford had that injury, didn't he? And he was the only one that was kind of rivaling him really for our captaincy shout. And then there was a double game week coming up, and City had really good fixtures, and it was just the obvious pick, apart from 32 when it was Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my start to the season. I only went with the favoured captain twice in the first 9 game weeks. Right,
3 times. No, sorry, no,
twice.
Twice.
I went Haaland game week 2 when he got 5 points, and Salah game week 4 when he got 3 points. So when I went the favoured captain, they were awful for me. So I went against the favoured choice in 7 of the first 9 game weeks, and I did really badly. I only got 2 double-figure scores. That was a bad decision. And I mean, I repeated that later in the second half of the season, but did far, far better. I only went with the favoured captain 4 times from game week 27 onwards. And yet those 4 were all Haaland, and he returned in 3 of those. And when I did go against the favoured captain, I did really well. I got the Saka, McAllister, I got the Wilson, the Fernandes, and then ended with Kane. So I just had more luck with the captaincy.
Your Rashford in 24 was nice.
Yeah, that was the week. That was the week that I think was it Haaland playing? Haaland played Forest and got 2 points, and I went Rashford, and that's what I mean when I went with Forest there. When I backed them, that came off, whereas in the start of the season it didn't, and that was a key game week.
84% owned that week.
But Ali went Rashford as well. Yeah, I mean, that's great call, wasn't it? So he obviously keyed into that as well, and that's those kind of decisions, those quality decisions, won it for him.
28. That bloody Ivan Toney call versus Saka.
Destroyed you, didn't it?
I just was not feeling that Saka.
That was Saka's biggest score of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he didn't get anything since after that. Literally nothing. And Tony played Leicester at home and blanked, and that was about the only game Tony blanked around that period.
Yeah,
nightmare week.
Yeah, there we go. I'll move on from that. So we do lessons learned. I'm not going to go through all the lessons that we've done in previous seasons. We'll look at them at the start of the season. We'll go over that. But I put 2 more in then based on what we've talked about tonight. And this one's kind of obvious, right? And I don't know why we haven't had it before. I think we haven't had it before because we pushed back against it. Try to limit risks with your initial lineup, and if you must take risks, avoid doing so with the heavy hitter options. I didn't do that. I took risks. I went against Salah, and I went against Haaland, and I went Kane and Son. I thought Kane and Son at home to Southampton game week 1 wasn't a risk because I was expecting Kane and Son to deliver big in that game. They had a good pre-season. Son was incredibly disappointing all season. I think Kane got a goal, but it wasn't what I expected. And I think did I captain Son in that game? I maybe did. So that's a lesson I've got to take into next season. I mean, you can't really dispute that one, can you?
Well, we dispute it. If you go back a slide and look
at our first, have you had a look?
And look at our first lesson learned. Don't be swayed by high ownership when selecting your initial squad.
It's not the same thing, though, is it? I guess it is risks and effective ownership. Yeah, but I took that to an extreme. And maybe that one we need to revise it.
I think Haaland's an interesting one because he, to me, was a risk not starting with him just because we knew kind of his potential and what he was about, not necessarily to do with his ownership. Because his ownership was high, wasn't it, game week 1, but it wasn't like 80%. It was like 35, 40%, something like that. I guess it's trying to balance that out, isn't it, between ownership and risk? Because at the end of it, if you're going against ownership, that is the risk, right? That is the biggest risk that you can do.
Apologies, I've spotted a typo and I just can't leave it because as a former mag editor, I've got to change
There's
it.
There's another one above it as well.
I know. I've got to. I can't live with it. It's the OCD with me and the sausage fingers I had last night. I mistyped. There we go. Right, that's finger. Yeah, I mean, the Haaland thing, we've talked about it already, haven't we? I think that we're not going to do that again. I think when you look at the fixtures that have come out, we're going to talk about them in a bit. There's no way we're going to go without Haaland, is there? So, yeah, that's done.
Well, we'll talk about price. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. The price is going to be interesting. I think there's only one price they can give him.
I really hope so. I really hope so. But the second one, and I talked about this earlier as well, when taking risks with the captaincy, try and avoid game weeks where the favoured captains affect his ownership. There's a typo there as well. It's ridiculous. Sorry about this.
Is it?
Editing. Yeah, captains. It should be that. It should be.
Oh God!
Captains,
See,
what have I done there?
The old thing now.
Oh no, I have. Yeah, I've ruined
Why
it.
you
Oh no.
Oh,
So I
why?
can do. I think I can do Control Z. Hold on, let me try and do that.
It's one thing.
There we go. Fixed it again. I'll have to put up with the typo. Effectively, so yeah, when taking risks for the captaincy, try and avoid game weeks where the favoured captain's effective ownership is likely to be 100% or more, 120% or more. So in other words, when we're debating the captaincy each week, if we think the effective ownership of the favoured captain is going to be enormous, like a Haaland or a Salah, or maybe a Kane, overwhelmingly positive, like into the 70-80% ownership, which equals obviously 150, 160 effective ownership, don't back against it. Now, what do you think of that?
I think it's a really interesting one, and it's such a big debate because I completely get it from a risk reward sense, all this kind of thing, but I just hate the idea of effective ownership guiding my decisions, and I look at it and think if Kane's playing Aston Villa and he's going to be 130% owned, but I just don't think he's going to do well against them, I don't want to feel like I have to captain him just because EO tells me that I need to. So I like these lessons because they do try and take you away from your own biases, because I think I am leaning towards this idea of this kind of protect with the captaincy and then make the things elsewhere. I think there is something in that, and I'm starting to come around to that idea, but it doesn't feel feel nice to me.
The top one is linked to the second in a way, because if you've got the popular heavy hitters, you're more or less getting the popular captains in as well. So you've got I had Kane and Son in game week 1 and not Salah and Haaland, so I couldn't go either of those two in game week 1. So I was already signing up to a risk on the captaincy, as well as having the risk of not having Haaland or Salah. It was a mistake, big mistake. Not a mistake because I think I was unlucky that Son had the season he did. I mean, no one really saw that coming. We saw regression, but not to the level from the golden boot to what we saw was a really big swing. So it was somewhat of a risk anyway, because we expected some regression, but I think I was unlucky. But actually, when you look at it from an EO perspective, it was a bad call, bad decision. Yeah. So I've got to think on, and we'll come back to these at the start of next season. And talking about next season, let's talk about prices. Let's talk about fixtures. Should we bring up the ticker first of all and have a look at? This is the ticker from Fantasy Football Scout. If you don't go to Fantasy Football Scout, why don't you? It was created back in the day by some genius of a guy. This is the ticker from them. Go and have a look. The ticker's always great. And it puts Chelsea at the top.
It's funny, isn't it?
Over the first 6 game weeks. Then City, then Arsenal. I looked at this immediately, and my hot take is we won't be playing early wildcards. Now, that might be controversial, but I think that Chelsea aside, I don't think anyone will be loading up on Chelsea unless we buy into the Pochettino revival immediately. I think we will be loading up on City and Arsenal. So if we go into the season with 3 City, 3 Arsenal, what's going to convince us to wildcard when we've got 6 players from the likely top 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, what struck me about this is probably feeds into that and I mentioned it earlier, is that if we're looking at kind of the top 6 on this, and you've got United, City, and Arsenal, and we're expecting all 3 of those teams to have significant price rises to last season, it is hard. It's hard to build a team, and I tried earlier with 3 City and 3 Arsenal if the prices we think are going to be right. Very
interesting.
Hard. Because if you think about Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, these were 6 million, 6.5 million. They're going to go up to 8.5, easy. Some of them. Jesus will probably have a bit of a price rise as well. He was underpriced last season. Their defense, Ben White, 4.5, not going to have that anymore. They're all going to be 5 million plus. City are tricky. Haaland's going to have this huge price rise.
You say that, but
it feels huge.
The worry for me is the FPL powers that be, over which I have no influence, regardless of what I said earlier.
Who you sleep with?
Well, they will. People tuning in will go, "What's happened in the first half?" they will look at it and go, "Oh, we don't want to make it too hard to have people to have the players that they love. We don't want it too hard to have Kane, Salah, and Haaland. So let's not raise those prices." Don't you think?
There's no way they can keep Haaland at 12.5. I don't. We've seen Van Persie in the past at 14. They'll make him 14. I'm sure they will. They've made Salah 13 in the past. He's more powerful as a FPL option than that. I think he comes in at 13.5, 14.
Here's another one for you then. I know it's early days. City are at home, where City are away when Arsenal are at home. So in other words, in the first 3 game weeks, you've got Haaland at Burnley when your Arsenal players face Forest.
Yep.
You've got Haaland at home to Newcastle when your Arsenal players play Palace. You'll probably go with Haaland there. It's a home game. Haaland at Sheffield United when Arsenal players play Fulham. So my question there is Haaland a slam dunk for the captaincy in the first 3 game weeks? I would say no. I would say, that goes against the lessons learned, I guess, but it's tempting.
Here we go.
It's tempting to go.
No, it's not.
Saka game week 1 and Saka game week 3. Is it not?
No, I don't think it is.
No?
I think the Arsenal players are too tricky to predict who's going to haul any week, and it's going to be Haaland, and I think City are going to get off to a strong start again. So
but Haaland away isn't the same animal as Haaland at home, is he?
Well,
I mean, we'll look at the data when we go ahead in the pre-season black boxes, but that's my take. In that, obviously, I guess the issue is Arsenal don't currently have a slam dunk captaincy option, do they? I mean,
I'd be more tempted by
Salah,
Rashford.
Kane, Rashford, home to Wolves
at home, and then Forest.
Yeah. Okay,
3.
all right. What do you think to that then?
Yeah, I think there could be something in that, but I still think Haaland's going to do well. With Manchester United, it's going to be Rashford essentially. So that's why he was able to give us spells last season where he was a viable captaincy option against.
I'll tell you what, right? Burnley away for City is the Fantasy Football Fest fixture. That is the fixture that will.
That's a great one,
Fest,
isn't it?
Right? And if you didn't know. First of all, we didn't know what Fest was. Fest is a get-together in London, venue in Waterloo. What's the website? Go and have a look at the website while I ramble on.
FF-Fest, isn't it?
Well, Ed's in the site. Ed, can you post the website link and I'll...
Bloody Fest. You should know this.
But, I should do really, shouldn't I?
Fest.com.
Okay. Az and I are going to be there doing a live black box. And on that night, it's going to be... Ed's saying no to that. He can't be bothered, can he? City versus Burnley. And we are going to have a room full of... no, he says. We're going to have a room full of Haaland captainers, aren't we? Right? And...
Yeah.
Are we going to conform to that?
Oh, God. There's already people in the chat saying, Mark talking himself into a 6 million Game Week 1 rank already?
It's true, isn't it? It is true.
Can you imagine being at Fest, not captaining Haaland?
Well, I can. I can, because it's like first game of the season on the Friday. If Haaland... I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Haaland doesn't haul at Burnley, isn't it? It's away from home. It won't be that. Everyone presumes it's going to be an easy game. Company is going to bring Burnley up, I think, with a bit of intent. I think that they're not going to be the whipping boys. As in they've got attacking intent.
Attack a bit at home in the first game. I don't know, promoted teams in Game Week 1 have frustrated, haven't they? Been quite a few years. Yeah, I mean, I think Burnley should be a good side. I'm expecting them to stay up. And
isn't the Super Cup between the Burnley and Newcastle game as well?
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to rest Haaland, aren't they?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I know. I guess we're all going to have Haaland at Fest and hope he gets a hat-trick.
It's because it's one of those ones, again, if it was Man U at Fest and Man City the next day, we'd probably see a lot more Rashford captain.
Yeah.
People at Fest would be like, I'm going to captain Rashford tonight.
Well, I know Ed's going to do something silly because he famously captained Tony, didn't he, for the Arsenal home game.
Well, if Newcastle got Villa at home.
Would he go Wilson, maybe? Yeah. Okay, let's look at some prices then. I think you... should we look at the prices first? These are the prices that you came up with. So this is your predictions then.
Yeah, you haven't seen these yet, have you?
No, I haven't. We'll do more of this pre-season. Right, let's go through it. Arsenal, first of all. So you think Ben White will go from 4-5 to 5. Yeah,
I think that has a knock-on effect on the other defenders as well. I think probably
Gabriel
Zinchenko
goes
5-5. Gabriel goes up to 5-5.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to get an Arsenal defender for less than
No, I think you're probably right there. Saka, Odegaard, 6-5 to 8-5. Yeah, I think he could be 8, but I think he should be 8-5 at least. Odegaard.
Yep.
Saka, I think, should be 9. You've gone.
I've gone
8 to 8.5.
Just because he had that huge spell of not getting any returns towards the end, I think that could just keep it down from, because 9 is like, that is a premium price now if you're paying 9 for him. I think they might just keep it a little bit lower than that, but I mean, it could be 9.
It's penalties though, isn't it? It's penalties. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think 8.5 is about right for him.
Okay, Martinelli.
You'd price him at 9 then? Would you?
I'd have him at 9 because for me it depends. For me, he will. I mean, like both Odegaard and Saka and Martinelli, I think will kick on. I think we can sit here now and go they will have their best FPL seasons next season.
I'm not sure about Martinelli. Not with Trossard there.
No, that's true. The minutes will be an issue for Martinelli. I don't think anyone's going to go Martinelli this time because of the Trossard factor.
No. And it'll be 8, right? I think 8 is. I think he'll be a little bit cheaper than Odegaard.
I think he's got it in him to have a better season. I still think there's more to come for Martinelli. I'd be more confident that Odegaard and Saka will kick on a bit, go up another level. I mean, they arguably did already, but I mean, in terms of output, it'll be, you can rely upon it. I think they're both going to hit double figures, goals and assists, I would say.
Yeah.
My thinking.
Okay.
And I think the differential will be where are you going to go with your Arsenal players? Because I think it's going to be, you're not going to be able to get Odegaard and Saka. You're going to have to choose. And it'll be interesting to see what the split is between the two of them. And
there's not going to be that much difference because there was a big difference between Saka, Odegaard and Martinelli. And that's why everyone went to Martinelli because he was by far the cheapest. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more of a split this year.
Moreno for Villa, 4.5 to 5. Don't argue with that. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Watkins will go up only 0.5, 7.5 to 8.
Yeah, do you think he's an 8.5? He could be 8. It could be 8.5. I think the reason why I put Moreno in is because I think he's a good option for us potentially next year. Yeah. Tapping into the Villa defence, looking good under Emery, quite attacking.
Yeah, and he was showing up well, wasn't he, towards the end of the season? Since he broke into the side, I think attacking wise he was. And we want more from fullbacks next season, don't we?
So I just apologise to everyone. Yes, Jesus was 8, not 9. I got that wrong on the chart. Yes, Haaland was 11.5 and not 12.5. I apologise. I forgot Haaland was that cheap. That was ridiculous, isn't it?
11.5, I know.
I've got 12.5, yeah. Don't worry about the
old. So basically, it's strewn with errors, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just like your typos, just like you put in the charts the wrong way around.
Oh, we really are rusty, yeah. Okay, Brighton. You think the goalkeeper will be 4.5 and you think that's a good option?
I just don't know who the goalkeeper's going to be.
It's got to be Steele, isn't it?
I think we buy a new goalkeeper.
No. He loves him.
I know. I'm not sure he's good enough.
Don't you?
No. He did well for us, but I don't think I trust him completely.
Estupiñán 5.5? No, not 5.5.
I think they're making 5.5. I'm quite confident on this one as well. I mean, they made Dunk 5. Yeah,
but he's an ever-present, isn't he? I guess Estupiñán is now as well.
They'll make him 5.5.
I really hope they don't, because that'll kill him. I don't want to go to a 5.5 Brighton defender.
I bet you they make him 5.5. They make all the others 5.
But the thing is, the clean sheets don't come under De Zerbi like they did under Potter. So I don't.
Oh, he's not worth it. I wouldn't pay it. I'm just
Oh no, I don't want that. March 5 to 6. I think that's probably fair enough. Yeah. And Cisse 4.5 to 6, and you're not sure if he's going to be a forward or a mid. I'd expect him to be a mid. Yeah.
I think that means I'm thinking forward to mid, and I think he could potentially be a good option. The only problem is he's going to be fighting with March, and potentially João Pedro as well.
Yeah. Yeah, João Pedro is a decent player. I don't think he's going to have massive output, but I think he's going to take minutes, yeah. Matoma 5 to 7, yeah, I think that's probably right. 7 is as high as I'd want to go, really. I wouldn't want to push him any more than that.
No.
I think that might...
I think, again, I
don't think people are buying Matoma at 7.
It's quite a lot, isn't it?
I noticed you've got Gibbs White at 6.5. I don't think there's much in it between them two.
No, nor do I.
So I think...
Depends as well.
No, I think they should both be the same, and I would hope they're both 6.5. I mean you might think that's too little for Matoma, but he did fade. He did fade, and Gibbs White's got pens, and Gibbs White's got assists where Matoma's not the assist machine.
But Brighton are better team.
were a better team. Although the results last season don't highlight that Brighton were the better team, strangely. But yeah,
The league position does. Just like in our overall ranks. League position is everything.
Damn. Oh, hold on. Oh, I'm losing my internet connection. Ferguson. Yeah, Ferguson could be a starlet, couldn't he? I mean, you will go and buy a striker and he won't ever play again, but you know, he could be a starlet.
We never buy strikers. I think he's going to have a massive season for us next year. I'm really, really excited to see what he can do. And he could maybe be 6'5", but I'm hoping they price him at 6. And if he's in at 6, I think he's going to be, with that Luton at home game, first of all, I think he's going to be popular.
Yeah, I really like him as well. I mean, I just like him as a player. He's got first touch, his balance is great, he's 2-footed, good in the air. He reminds me of Kane when Kane broke into Tottenham's team.
Yeah, he's exactly like that. He's an absolutely brilliant player. I think he could go anywhere and do anything. He's so young as well, and he's playing for a manager. We'll get them both of him.
Must feel a bit of a novelty for Brighton to have a young player who every other club wants to sign off you, who will probably leave in a couple of years. So that must be a one-off for you, you know, to feel like that.
It's interesting.
The Premier League feeder club that is Brighton and Hove Albion.
Hey, we've only lost one so far. We'll see who else goes.
Chelsea, who will probably sign one of their players soon. Kepa 4-5-5. Yeah, reluctantly.
Well, Chelsea are interesting, right? Because I had a look at their players, and you know, there's going to be a lot of price reductions for them. They're going to be like Arsenal were last season. You know, there's going to be plenty of options around the 6 mark. But these are the only 4 really that I could pick out at the moment as being options. Kepa, Chilwell, James, and Sterling. But yeah, Kepa he's been said, hasn't he? Pochettino said he's number 1 choice, and won't be buying a new goalkeeper. And I think he's going to be a popular pick, given the fixtures, top of the ticker.
Okay. Greg Foster's Flecken is coming in for Brighton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think Steele will be number 1. I think he'll still play, but I think he might start the season still. But I think it will always be in Serbi's mind to swap out.
You've gone Chilwell and James to 5-5. That'd be good. That'd be good. If all they got to do then is not break their cheese hamstrings, and they'll be fine, won't it? So, oh god, if they can have a good season, that will change a lot, right? Because I think you're right. I think they will be underpriced if we can get them on the pitch. I mean, that'll be great, wouldn't it? To have a whole season of James and Chilwell would be amazing.
Well, they could. I mean, that could be a differential from Gameweek 1. You know, the double wing back. I mean, we don't know what system Pochettino's going to play. Do we? He didn't play wing backs at Spurs, did he, or at PSG?
No, I don't think so.
No.
But you know, if you're going to play, Flecken's gone to Brentford. He's right. Yeah, someone in chat said Flecken's. I thought as much. Yeah. So Flecken isn't going to go to Brighton, is he? So
no, but I'm sure we'll start because Sanchez will go. We'll need to get someone else in.
It's almost done. Apparently, I thought it was done, to be honest. Janega 77 raising that. And that means Raya's going to go, and we think probably Raya to Spurs. I think. I mean, Raya might be a good option under Pochettino, couldn't he? Under the new Spurs manager, who I'm not going to try and pronounce.
So if he goes to Spurs, you know, before the prices come out, then he could be 5-5.
He could, yeah. I mean,
I think if he's still at Brentford, he could be 5.
That's the thing as well, right? FPL will probably come out early again, and FPL will probably miss a load of transfers because of that, and that will break the pricing as well. That's the worry. In that, I am going to go. I'm going to have a go at the new Spurs manager, Postecoglou. Do you want to have a go at it, Az? Can you do better than that? You don't. You don't even want to try. We'll just call him Ang. Ang is his name, isn't it?
Angie.
Yeah. We'll come to Spurs in a minute, but we're still on Chelsea. Sterling 8-5, still not going now, are we?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, you know, under Poch, you never know.
Yeah, I guess so. But he just looks so off it. Again, it's like consistency with him. I wish he would get back to what we saw in his spells at City at times, because he was a really effective FPL asset at the time. Eze to 6-5. Yeah, see, similar to Gibbs White and Matoma, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the 6-5 bracket, if they put the likes of Gibbs White, Matoma, and Eze in there, could be really good, right? Because then you've got this choice of like, do I go for Saka and Odegaard, or do I not have an Arsenal mid? Do I go for like maybe a Jesus and an Arsenal defender, and then do I then stock up on that 6-5 bracket? Because I do think you look at Matoma, you look at Eze, you look at Gibbs White. I think they'll all have better seasons.
Yeah, so do I.
They're all going to kick on. Gibbs White
so do I.
because he'll be on penalties all season. I think
he's 160, 170 point players potentially for around that price if they can get it right.
I think all three of them could push 10 goals, 10 assists. I think.
Yep.
They won't. They're not as certain as the Arsenal mids to get that, but I think they could all pull it off. So
yeah,
the 6-5 bracket could be a really good one for differentials. So Eze's got to be in the mix. Elise at 6 million will probably lose out to Eze as the preferred choice, but he could still come good. He's another one that I expect to kick on. But I think you're right under the Eze amount. Mitrovic 7. You think he'll go up? I think he'll stay at 6-5.
Do you? I think they wanted to put him at 6-5 because he was like promoted striker.
Right.
But he's had a good season again, and Tony was 7 last year, wasn't he? So I think they'll put him in that mould.
Mitchell Foster says Eze will be in the 7 to 7-5
Yeah, he could
range.
be. I was toying between 6-5, 7.
Yeah, out of the three, Matoma, Gibbs White and Eze, I think Eze might have the edge. So you're right, it could be there. Unless they put them all at 7. So yeah, we could do. That would be... that would make it. I mean, if they're going to go Eze 7, then you've got to think they're going to push up the others, aren't they? You're looking at Odegaard 9 then, and Saka 9-5 maybe. I don't know. I don't agree with you on the Mitrovic one. I think he could stay at 6-5 because it's the fitness for him and the tendency to push referees over. That's never good either, is it? Trent. Oh, Trent, come on. This could be. I mean, everyone will have him though, won't they? He's
got to go up, hasn't he? I don't think they're going to make him a midfielder.
No,
that was some people saying that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
but he has to go up in price. And we said it last year. He has to be 8.
Well,
if he's playing in midfield,
when he came out 7-5, didn't we go? Oh, who's going to go for Trent at 7-5? Didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, at the start of the season, it looked like he was well overpriced, and at the end of the season, it was like, well, get him in. Got to get him in. So. Yeah, Luke's in the chat now. Hey, Luke, sorry we had a go at you earlier and you've missed it, so watch back when we called you a robot. Sorry about that again. Salah 13 million down to 12.5. You reckon?
Slight price drop, probably to compensate for Haaland's going up. I think he drops a bit. He hasn't had the same level of season that he's had previously. Not hitting the massive. I'm still a good season, don't get me wrong, but I think he'll drop a little bit or stay the same. I think he drops.
That'd be good. I think it'd be nice if he drops and they put Haaland up to 14, which we're going to get to in a minute. Where have you got Kane? I've hidden it by the comments.
I've got Kane just behind Luke's.
Kane will pop up in a minute when Luke's had his.
I think I said 12.
Right. Yeah.
I think I said 12.
Yeah, there needs to be a sizable gap between the other. Yeah, 12.5. So 1.5 between them and Haaland. So get into Gakpo next. You think he'll move to be a forward and 8.5? I think you're right. Yeah,
I mean he's a forward.
Central, isn't he? He's central.
Yeah, he is forward.
So
and I think
will Jota stay a forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I think Gakpo and Nunes as well. So probably have 3 forwards.
Eddie's saying, could you guys wrap this up? I need to talk to you after this. So yeah, another hour and a half. We've got about another 25 screens to go.
It never ends, Ed.
Oh dear.
Gakpo though, I genuinely think if we're getting Haaland and all these players have gone up, and we're going to talk about my team side.
You like him, do you?
Salah to Gakpo could be the one, because there is a chance that McAllister takes pens off Salah. He's a better penalty taker than Salah is. He's not going to want to give him up. Don't get me wrong. But McAllister is a better penalty taker than Salah is.
Just don't see it, though. Salah's so goal hungry. I just don't see it.
But if he does...
And I think at times the pens get Salah through spells where he has a bit of a drought. So I think that...
I like Gakpo up front. I like Gakpo up front for Liverpool if he's going to be playing majority of minutes. I think
I do, yeah.
He could... for
but
5
Darwin's still a factor. Jota's still a factor. We've got to see how that shakes out. Jota is.
Darwin's bloody useless. Yeah, come on, he is.
Well, he will have a better season, Darwin. He can't
have a worse season.
He will have
That's the most risk-free statement I've ever heard in my life. Honestly, that guy was.
Well, wait until next season. I'm going to be risk-free all the way through.
Honestly, I can't believe how bad he was consistently.
What about Diaz? Yeah, because Greg coming up with a load of comments tonight, which are all quality, saying Luis Diaz should be on everyone's radar. Maybe. Yeah. When fit,
he's fighting with Nunes on the left,
with Darwin,
potentially Jota and Gakpo. I know he's the risky one. I still think that the best front. I still think the best front three is Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah.
Ed says Darwin is useless. Please bookmark that comment. He obviously thinks you're going to regret that one.
He is.
What? You are going to regret that one? Or? Okay.
Probably.
Stone's staying at 5-5, even though he...
I was right about Havertz. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to eat your words.
Yeah,
Sunday League player.
Well, is that Havertz who the Arsenal and Real Madrid want? Yeah, useless. Yeah, absolutely.
Why are people after him?
I don't think... Remind me, are Arsenal and Real Madrid Sunday League teams? Are they?
I just think they're having a bit of banter with Chelsea. I don't think they're actually going to get him.
Stone's 5-5 to 5-5. You don't think he'll move?
The reason I put him in is because I think again it's the whole defence is going to be 5-5 or 6. And again, if we're looking at 3 City players for their quite good early fixtures, they ain't going to come cheap.
Yep. KDB down to 10-5. I hope they go down to 10 for KDB because I think that every season that goes by, the minutes become a problem, I think. And the injuries are really stacking up. We know he's done his hamstrings now, so we don't know what kind of a pre-season he's going to have. I think KDB is fading fast as an FPL asset.
So do
I. Which is a shame because, when he does play and when he's fit and when we can get minutes from him regularly, he's obviously still elite, but I don't think that we'll be going to him very often next season, especially with the likes of Foden and Grealish, who you pick out next, who you've got to expect to kick on further. Certainly Grealish could be a very popular pick at the start of the season, I think, because people are going to presume that we'll get more from him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just getting the goals and assists, isn't it? I mean, he got 15, I think, last season, Grealish. Has he got it in his locker to get 20, 25? If his price is going up, he's going to need to do better than this season, and it feels like this was an absolute standout season for him. Watching him pissed all the time doesn't give me huge confidence.
No, everyone's praising him for that, for like, oh yeah, party boy Jack, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want that, really.
In some ways, they've won the treble. He's been training hard. Yeah, he's played majority games. You can't argue with his fitness and all that, and it's fine. But there's another part of me that thinks, calm it down a little bit. It's a little bit. And
also then you think, like the Foden thing, we don't know why he fell out of favour with Pep. We think it was something off field. And you just think, how far away is Jack doing that? Right? How far away is Jack doing something silly off pitch that Pep will go, right, I'm dropping you for 10 weeks. That's the thing, right? You know what Pep's like. Right? He doesn't need...
They've won the treble. That is the best it gets in club football.
Of course.
Could have got the quadruple, but Nathan Jones knocked him out. Nathan Jones, not Nathan Jones. What's his name?
Yeah.
Southampton manager.
Nathan Jones. Yeah,
Nathan Jones.
Right first time.
Yeah, no, that myself. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the only better is the quadruple. But they're going to have to. I don't know. I said that I think City are going to start off well, but it is going to be a bit of a come down, isn't it? You've won the treble, then you have to restart again.
I think Pep knows what he's doing with that.
I mean,
he'll get it. I do think though. Yeah, I mean, if I'd have won the treble, I probably would have had a drink or two, but I don't know if I'd be still going like 2 weeks later.
He was drinking after they won the FA Cup, then he was drinking after they won the league, and he was drinking after the. It's just, I don't know. I just found it a bit. We get it, Jack. You like a drink,
mate. No, fair enough. Haaland, the big one, 12-5 to 14. I hope you're right. It's not going to go any higher than that, is it? 14's probably the ceiling, isn't it? Van Persie 14, was he?
Van Persie was 14.
Yeah, he's got to be 14 then, hasn't he? Because he's in that bracket, if not above it, at Van Persie. This is when Van Persie was at United, right? He was 14. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he has to be. He has to be 14.
Yeah.
They can't make him any less.
Not, I'm flipping the table. I'm sulking. And you know that. Do you think Haaland will be one of the first price reveals, or do you think they'll keep him back?
Oh, that's a good question. I liked when they did it by club. They did like a couple. Was that last
year?
They'll
do it by club again because they like to give the club something to get.
Yeah, so Haaland will be on that then. It'll be Haaland and then Foden and someone really random like Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, they'll have to do Haaland, won't they? The thing is, like, if Haaland's like 12, I'm not playing.
Imagine we get surprised.
I'm putting it out there. Men style says Haaland started at 11.5. He did, yeah. He got it wrong.
I've said that. I made my apologies for
He's
that.
Az, do you want to apologise again for all your mistakes?
No.
Luke Shaw, Man United we're getting on to now. Luke Shaw, 5 to 5.5. Yeah, I think you're right there. Which again, if Luke Shaw's 5.5, a Stupinan can't be 5.5. Come on, let's face it.
Yeah, true. I mean, maybe Shaw goes up to 6.
Rashford, 7.5 to 9.5. Yeah, I don't want him any higher than that. Bruno, bring Bruno down to 9. 9.5 to 9, I think. Don't you? This is why I want KDB down to 10. I think Bruno should be 9.
I mean, how many points did Fernandes get last season?
He got
176. Yeah, 9 probably is probably about right, but
that'd be good.
They're probably overpricing with it.
Trippier, 5 to 6.5. Yeah,
it's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah, if Trent's going to be 7.5 or 8,
I think if they make him 6 or 5.5,
can't be 6.
That's another bad move.
Well, it's bandwagons, isn't it? It'll be in everyone's team as it is. I mean, they can't have it so you can get Trent and Trippier and 3 heavy hitters. Please do not make it. You can do that.
No, you can't. I've tried.
We're going to have a look in a minute.
I just don't think you. I just don't.
Well,
think
they can. They can if they want to make it like that. If they want to make it really easy, but please don't. Please don't. If you're watching, Wilson 7.5 to 8. Yeah, agree with that. Which case Watkins at 8. Yeah. I think Wilson will outscore him and he's in a better team, so it is quite close. Watkins on pens, Wilson on pens. Will Villa sign a penalty taker? Maybe. Maybe Wilson might go to 8.5, you know. Isak at 7.5, yeah, will be a forward still, I guess. Gibbs White to 6.5, yeah. You haven't put Brennan on here. Obviously, don't think Brennan's going to be a factor.
Well, he's been in and out of the team, isn't he? I'm not sure we'd risk him.
Yeah, I think he's got
and
to play.
And the fixtures are awful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not to start with. And Gibbs White's definitely the one to go with. I think if Danilo comes in at 4.5, which I don't think he will, I think he'll be 5. I think he's another one that might get into a lot of teams as an alternative to Brownhill at Burnley. I think if Brownhill's 4.5, he'll be in a lot of teams. Son 9.5, knock him down to 9. Make it proper. Stick him on the same as Fernandes, right? And then. Yes, they did. They brought Rashford right down to a ridiculous level, didn't they, this season? They brought Rashford down to... Was he not 6.5, Rashford? Did you get that one wrong as well?
Yeah, he was, yeah. I apologise for these.
Okay.
I apologise for these. Keep up. Many errors were made.
So, bringing Rashford down at 6.5, can't they bring Son further down than 9.5? I think they could.
It's difficult when you write these because these are predicted prices. These aren't necessarily what I think they should be.
No.
I just think they'll be reluctant to. I mean, last year we thought Haaland would be more expensive. We thought lots of different things, but I think going from 12 to 9.5 is what they did with Fernandes a few years ago. Remember?
I can't believe he was at 12.
He was like 12, wasn't he? And then they brought him down to 9.5. So I think they'll probably do something similar with Son.
Kulusevski 8 to 7.5. Agree with that. Yeah, I mean it really depends on what kind of season Spurs have, and I do expect them to be stronger. Attacking wise, under the new manager who shall not be pronounced. Richarlison 8.5 to 7.5. Yeah,
I put him in because if Kane does go to Madrid or someone in Europe, then Richarlison's going to be first choice striker. Presumably.
They'll sign a forward, won't they?
Yeah, but you still think Richarlison would be right up there.
Kane to 12.5. Yep, agree with that. And then Bowen down, who could be really interesting. I like him. I like them a lot. I think if you're right with 80% of them, I'd be really optimistic about the season.
But do you see what I mean, though? It's a lot of players that we're going to be considering off the back of how last season ended,
going up,
who are getting big, substantial price rises. So the template isn't going to be one. If this happens, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting.
Please make it like that.
Because I looked at the fixtures and I thought, oh god, everyone's going to have Arsenal and City and United players again. But then I think actually we can't have 3 of each team. It's not going to happen.
Oh, Luke's chimed in. No chance they all rise up. No, I think
they have to. The Arsenal players will have to go up. The Brighton players will have to go up. The United players have to go up. The City players are going to probably stay around the same, but with Haaland going up. I don't know if they have to.
He's killed our joy. Luke has there.
That's what the robot does.
Right, so this is your team. Now, you got onto fpl.team. Thank you, Pete, for your brilliant site. And you've built a team with his prices, and this is one to budget, right, for game week 1. So Kepa in goal, Stones, Trent, Doherty, okay.
Well, it's a Luton Villa kind of rotation.
Okay, yeah.
Because
So
they've got
Luton.
attacking fullbacks.
Okay, so you got Moreno on the bench, yeah. Rashford, Saka, Eze, and Ciso. Good midfield with a couple of the 6-5 options we talked about.
Yeah, and in Ciso or Eze could be any of the 6-5.
Gakpo, Ferguson, Haaland. I like it. I don't think that's template.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not. And there's no Salah and there's no Salah. Kane, you see, there's only one premium.
Is that to budget?
That's the budget that I put together. So that's Kepa at 5, Stones 5.5, Trent at 8, Dotti at 4.5, Rashford at 9.5, Saka at 8.5, Eze at 6.5, and Ciso at 6, Gakpo 8.5, Ferguson 6, Haaland 14. Yeah.
Oh, what have I done there? So that is quite. If that comes true, if that's the kind of prices, that
there's risks there though. I mean, I've got a Luton defender. 2 6 million mids, Gakpo over Salah, and a 6 million forward.
I think Luton defenders might be a popular budget choice because we expect them to be good at set pieces. I don't know. Doughty takes them, doesn't he? So, I mean, it looks like a team that is strong. Is that to 100 million? Is it on FPL.team?
Yeah, from the prices that I did. Yeah.
So this one is overpriced. So this is where you've tried to go more template and go.
Well, this was kind of like the first team that I put together. So this had Haaland in it. It had Salah in it as well. I had Mitrovic in there as well because he's got Everton at home in the first game. And this is 4 million over budget.
So this is trying to make your point that you think it'll be harder to be template from the start.
Yeah.
If the template is going Salah, Haaland, Rashford, and an Arsenal mid.
Exactly, because if you've got Rashford, Saka, Salah, and Haaland, it is really hard to shave 4 million off this team without losing one of those 4.
Well, you'd have to go. Mitrovic would have to go. You'd have to go 2 budgets up front for a start.
Yeah, but if you do Mitrovic to a 6, only 1.5 saving. There's another 2.5 you got to shave off.
Yeah,
where are you getting that from? It's really difficult.
Kepa in goal, you'd probably go with 2 4.5s. I wonder if there'll be any 4 million keepers this season because that helped last season as well. That helped the template, didn't it? Yeah, so that hopefully they won't do that again.
But it's not easy because if you do that, you're doing the same thing that we do every season, which is you'd have no bench, you'd have 2 4 million defenders and a 4-5 midfielder, and I mean it's doable. Don't get me wrong. There'll be teams with 3 premiums and all these players and stuff, but there'll be compromises that have to be made. And
I hope it's 2 premiums, one of Trent or Trippier, and then either Rashford or an Arsenal mid is what I hope. I hope that is what we're restricted to. You can't have 2 premiums, Rashford and an Arsenal mid. Or if you do, you can't then have Trent. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. But I don't know if... And that's what you're saying the prices are if FPL Teams was close. Will it be that? Luke doesn't agree. But I hope you're right.
Well, I just think a lot of people are going to go Haaland and Salah, right? And that's going to eat so much. Haaland, Salah and Trent, that's going to eat so much of the budget that when you start trying to chuck in 2 9 million mids, you're going to find it really, really hard to do that. That's what I found building this.
I mean, the Haaland price is crucial. If they only put him up to 12 or 12.5, then they are more or less saying we want you to have a strong...
He'll be 13.5 or 14. I'm sure.
I really hope so.
I would bet on that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll know early on because, like we say, I think they will tease some key prices, and we'll be able to see from the first few where it's going. I think Luke reckons Trent might go down. I don't think that'll be the case.
No,
because you've got to presume he's going to play that role next season. So, and he'll say the same. Prolific. Yeah, he was prolific with the assists in the final in that period where he did play midfield. I'd like to think he'd go up. All right, I think that's it, isn't it? And that's it for I think we've got to go and talk to Ed, so it should be another hour instead.
More fun than talking to Ed, that's for sure.
That was brilliant, Az. You know what? I missed this. And I know that was probably pretty indulgent for some, talking about our seasons. We're not going to be doing that when we come back because it's going to be pre-season. And we're going to be looking at lots of data and stuff. And then we're going to be looking at all the familiar stuff, like looking ahead to the captaincies and so on. What are we going to do pre-season? We got a few ideas?
Yeah, well, Natalie's going to come on, definitely.
Is that all booked in?
No, but it will be. Okay. Hopefully Joanne as well. That'll be two two good ones. And then we haven't talked about any player data or anything, how that ended. So we can talk about that and who we think's going to kick on next year and stuff. We can. I tweeted out the other day, but with you, hopefully, please back. Week on week now. We really want to kick BlackBox on next year and become one of the biggest channels out there. And to do that, I think we need more content on site. And we've got brilliant people, Luke, Andy North, Janny. These are all people who want to get involved. We can do more content. We'll obviously keep the traditional BlackBox stream, but there can be Q&As that come on the channel. There can be kind of talking through our decisions. There can be the informal stuff.
Give the video hit subscribe.
Slippers as well. You might turn up once again.
So as of now, I think we're in a really good position to build on what we've been doing, and I'm really looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I am as well, and I think that having ended the season so well, I've rejuvenated my appetite for FPL again. God, if I'd have ended up coming like 4 or 5 million, it'd been very hard. But I you know what? FPL SWAT's in the chat tonight, and I've got to thank him because I think that he was a bit of an inspiration to me. Because as you may or may not know, a couple of seasons ago, FPL SWAT was hacked, and obviously that meant his team got propelled into the ether, and then he decided you know what, I'm just going to give it a go and play normally, and I think he got himself back to below 500,000 in the end. Incredible return.
I remember it,
yeah, really, really inspiring. And when I was like 4 or 5 million in the world or even higher, I sat and thought to myself, you know what, he did it, so I'm going to keep playing seriously and see what happens, and it did turn around for me. So I know you've been in the chat, SWAT, so just wanted to say thank you for that. And it is when you see managers do that, and hopefully people look at the season I've had and how I turned it round, you've got to remember that when it's going badly, you can turn it round and you can get a good season and you can enjoy the season even when you're struggling. And that experience has made me really look forward to the coming season. And if you're right with the prices, then we could be in for a real cracker, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, like I said, it was my least enjoyable season for a lot of reasons, but also it was my most enjoyable that final day. And even if I'd lost it to you, I would have been devastated, obviously, but it was a hell of a battle on that final day. I loved it. And if you've got people around you that you're competing with in mini leagues and stuff, there's so much more to FPL than just overall rank.
Yep. Brian says Garden Centre game list, but the Garden Centre game list will be back. I don't know if Ground Force will make an appearance. I'll have to see what I pull out for the Garden Centre game.
Oh yeah, no, we need to make sure that comes out.
Yeah, so that'll be there, and a few more tricks up our sleeve as well, and lots of tech issues, lots of stressful 15 minutes before we start and full starts and stuff. But we'll get it right eventually, like we did tonight.
Well, yeah.
Right, I guess it's
give the video a like, hit subscribe.
It's like and subscribes as if you want to give a shout out.
I will start this early because I had a quick look at our demographic information recently.
Oh, blimey, you are taking it seriously. What's going on?
Our number of unsubscribed viewers is on the rise.
Is it? That's shocking.
And that is, I think, because we've stopped being so diligent with the smash the likes, smash the subscribe. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, we've got big plans. We can do these big plans. We want to keep growing. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think of the prices. Let us know what you think of the colours scheme for next season.
Pink.
Yeah, absolutely. Pink or orange, I think, are the two favourites coming through. But yeah, really looking forward to next year and having you back.
As says, please end. Maybe we should.
Ed.
Yeah.
I'm not Ed.
Ed is also saying Pink is Fest. Look, we've plugged it enough. I'm not doing any more of that. Right, yeah, we will see you at Fest in person if you turn up and you get a ticket. But if not, we will see you before that when we do more of these shows before the season starts. I'm back. I'm back in the groove. I hope to be on your screens and in your ears more often next season. And I can't wait. I really enjoyed it getting back with you, Az. I've missed you a lot. And yeah, thanks and good night from me.
Good night, Rob.
Oh, where's the credit button? There it is.